Hey guys, Shane McMurray from the Wedding Report. In this episode, I interviewed Deb, who is a printer in Portland, Oregon. Check it out. So, Deb, let's talk about your business. Tell me where you're located, what you do, your website, any of that stuff you want to tell me about your business.
Uh, my business is Paperjam Press. I'm a full service print and design shop, and one of my specialties is wedding invitations.
Nice.
So we've been doing this about 25 years with 3 different businesses. Paperjam is about 10 years old. And in 2016, I decided to really concentrate back onto wedding invitations.
Nice.
Um, I have found that being kind of a niche printer in Portland is working for us.
That's
We do
great.
things that other people don't do, and we specialize in certain things.
Hmm.
So weddings, and people are still printing on paper in the
Yes,
wedding
they
arena.
are. Yeah, yes, they
So,
are.
um, so as I mentioned before we start recording, is Portland is made up as all these sweet business districts, and we're in one of those
Nice.
called Beaumont Wilshire.
Okay.
And so we're situated on Fremont Street, which is a commercial street that's about 10 blocks long, and it's surrounded by a residential neighborhood. And so we have lots of eateries and some retail shops, and it feels like a little local community, really. It's not just a shopping mecca, but there's something here for everybody. We have dentists, we have banks, et cetera, et cetera. So we are the print shop,
Nice.
the only one on the street. And so our focus is really about the local community, and obviously local wedding
Yeah.
couples.
Yeah,
Although
sure.
we do get a few people from out of town, and our plan is to maybe try to expand that a little bit more by
Hmm.
going online with ordering.
Sure. That's great.
Uh-huh.
So tell me about what kind of goes into the process. So let's say I contact you as a lead, right? I'm getting married, or um, I need some invitations. So tell me about that process. What do you
Okay.
go through? What you do?
Yeah. Well, we're a little bit unique in the fact that not only do we design the wedding invitations, we can print them right here. You often find wedding designers, consultants, but they're not the printer. So we're unique in that way. So what we say to customers, we have 3 tracks for you for different budgets. You can bring us your own design, and we'll act as your printer, and we have nice papers, and we'll consult with you on what the paper is, and we'll put everything together for you so it looks very professional. So that's one track. And that's actually probably our most popular track.
Okay.
And the second one is we have pre-designed invitations. So we've already laid out the whole wedding suite for those people that just want to find something that they can point at and say, yeah, that's what I want.
Hmm.
And then their third is custom. So we can totally custom design something for you. So that's pretty unique. And I think it's an advantage for us in the
Sure.
marketplace.
So like how custom do you get? Like tell me, give me a specific.
Well, we can get pretty custom. We can layer papers. We can laser cut. We have a laser cut machine, so we've done elaborate laser cuts. We can add ribbons or other kinds of enhancements. We line envelopes. We've done quad folds with multiple creases. What we don't do is white ink, metallic ink, some of those things that other printers do. And,
Sure.
that's one of those things that at some point, do we want to go down that road? That requires different equipment. But at this
Right.
point, we have not done that. So that's one of our limitations. But other than that, we can do pretty much what brides want. And of course, it depends on the trends. Trends
Sure.
change, and then they want different things.
So tell me like what happens like so I decide, hey, I have a design, I come to you, tell me about that process.
Okay.
How does it
Okay.
work?
So what we like our wedding customers to do is set up an appointment because it does take more time. And so they set an appointment, they come in and we find out, okay, do you already have a design or do you want to look at ours? So we
Mhm.
go through that process with them, or do you want to custom design something?
Sure.
So we go through that, and then we're their consultants. Most people that are coming to us have never been married before, and it's a whole new arena. And so we really try to make it easy for them by asking the right questions, leading them down the trail of what they need to consider. You know, a traditional wedding suite is your invitation, your reply card, and a details card with your envelope.
Right.
Well, times are changing. So now a lot of people with the digital world have a website. A lot of wedding couples have a website, and they don't really want to do the reply card that comes back through the mail.
Yeah.
But I talk through them about that because sometimes they have to think about their population. How many elders do you have that don't know how to do that? So
Right.
that's my expertise I'm giving them.
Yeah.
So
How
I feel like
often do you see that happening? Like they're saying, hey,
pretty,
I don't
pretty
really need a
common,
reply card. Often?
pretty common these days. Yeah, I would say more than 50%.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Cool.
yeah.
Okay.
And
Sorry.
then it's interesting when the mother comes along with the couple that's going to get married. She often wants that tradition of the return reply card. So
Yeah.
you're dealing with those different generations. I
Mhm.
haven't had any fights in the office between,
Good.
but we work through that with people and try to give them all of our experience, and that's why the shopping local, which is what we try to get our local wedding couples to do, come to us because we have that expertise and we'll share all that with them. And hopefully that makes the process a little easier for them. And then it's just picking out paper and going through quantities, any kind of order, paper quantities,
Mhm.
envelopes. Sometimes they want to bring their own envelopes. We also offer guest addressing on the front of the envelopes, which is really popular now. So we can do what we call variable data. And
Mhm.
that's a really great service to offer them. And the other thing that's great by going local is you get an actual proof of everything. You're going to see exactly what that's going to look like, cut, folded. So if we need to make changes, we can,
Mhm.
which is not what you get when you shop online.
Sure.
And in general, I'm going to just skip over a little bit. As an invitation vendor in this market, we compete a lot more with online because brides can do that. Whereas flowers, caterers, a lot of those other things, they're going to shop local for that stuff, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
So I really am competing a lot more with the online wedding vendors,
Yeah. That's
and
true.
that's a challenge.
Yeah. I bet it is.
Yeah.
Um, so I order the invitations. Do you interact with them besides the proof before they get what they need?
Not before the proof. So
Okay.
we interact with them unless we're designing, then they may need to,
Yeah.
depending on how much time they sit with one. We have 2 designers here. So they need to sit with the designer for custom designing.
Sure.
But then we won't see them again until the proof is ready. And sometimes we do email proofs, but we always want finally to do a hard copy proof. And
Sure.
then they come in and we show them everything, make changes if we need to. If not, they approve it. And then we send it to print. So our process is really, we're considered a short run printer. So we
Okay.
don't have big, large jobs on the press. So we turn things, I think a week is a pretty average time to be able to turn a wedding invitation.
That's pretty good. Yeah.
Sweet, yeah. So we're we're quick to turn it, and they're always real surprised by that.
Yeah. So 125 guests, let's say I want to send out 125 invitations roughly.
Mhm.
What am I looking at cost wise to get started?
Yeah, that's a good question. I would say on the average for those 3 items in your suite
Mhm.
without a envelope liner would be around $500 with
Okay.
us, which we're also priced really competitively. And I'm
Yeah.
often being told that by brides. I try to be really fair with my pricing and not gouge them.
Yeah.
So, and then if they add a liner, you're adding probably another $100,
Sure.
$125.
Okay.
So, yeah, our
Seems
wedding
reasonable.
suites average about that, anywhere
Yeah.
from, and that's an average price. I mean, we have fancier, more elaborate invitations that could be above 1,000.
Mhm.
But we try to do a variety for everybody's budget if they're ordering
Okay.
from us.
Yeah, sure, for sure. So let's say you have the order. They agree on the whatever you're going to do. I mean, what goes into actually making this thing and making it work?
Oh, well, several people touch it throughout the process. There's the order entry taker, and then there could be the designer.
Hmm.
Well, most of the time there's going to be, well, unless they give us a design, it doesn't have to go to design. If they
Sure.
pick one of our designs, we have to customize it for them, right?
Right,
So
right.
it's always going to go to design. And of course, if it's custom, it's going to go to the design department.
Hmm.
And then it goes back to order entry and they review it and then they get it, they send it on to printing, and printing will print out the proof
Hmm.
and line the envelope or do any of the enhancements post-production to get it ready. It hits the shelf, order entry picks it back up, reviews it again, make sure it's what they ask. So we have a lot of review processes.
Yeah, you have to,
Uh,
right?
and then we'll notify the customer their proof is ready and puts it in a tray waiting for them to come see. And then they come in and we show them everything, and they approve it or not approve it. And then it either goes directly back to printing to print, or goes back to design for changes.
Gotcha.
And they can have a second proof if they want, which is common. It's a big event in people's lives. So they
Yeah,
really want it right, and we want it right for them as well. So it could go through the proof process again.
yeah, makes sense.
And so, and then once it's printed, it's reviewed again, making sure everything's right. And what was I saying? Oh, and then it gets printed and it hits the shelf again, and then it's reviewed, and then it's invoiced, and the customer's called to come pick it up. We wrap it really nicely in a really pretty box that I have custom made with a ribbon
Mhm.
and make it look really pretty for them.
Nice.
And then they come pick it up. I give them a coupon for if they want to come back and do their day of event, paper goods, menus, table cards, place cards, signs, all that.
Yeah.
So that they usually come back later for that because they're not ready for that at the time. They want to get their invitation out,
Yeah,
right?
right. Let's get that out the door first.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And you know the other big thing that I haven't mentioned yet, but it's a big part of the wedding process now, is the save the date cards.
Yep. Yep.
So a lot of brides come to us, or couples, and they've already sent out the save the dates. Although this year we're receiving a lot more come to us wanting us to help them with the save the dates, which is
That's
great.
great. Yeah.
And by the way, I don't know, you collect data and you may know this, but I think it's going to be a big year for weddings.
Yeah. It's gonna be a
Yeah,
pretty good year. Yeah.
yeah. Um, so the other thing I'll mention is we do have a wedding contract that they'll sign once the order is approved and they want to go forward. We have a wedding contract. It just lets them know that the 50% deposit that we're going to capture up front is non-refundable.
Yeah.
And it's pretty standard out there for this.
Okay.
And most couples seem to be fine with that policy. And so we do get that up front, and because we've spent quite a bit of time with them,
Yeah. Sure.
at
Absolutely.
least an hour usually.
Okay.
And they're paying for our expertise, and
Yep.
so that happens up front, and then they'll pay the balance when they pick up the order.
Gotcha.
Uh,
So what advice would you give couples today? Like if they're starting out, they're trying to figure this whole thing out, what advice would you have for them?
if they're just in the wedding suite area, in the wedding invitation.
Yeah, they're a couple, they're getting married. I'm looking for wedding invitations. What advice would you have for them?
Well, I think the first thing I say to them, and I think most of them come in pretty keen in this idea, is to really make it reflect who you are, your personality, the type of an event you're going to have.
Mhm.
Is it more casual? Is it outdoors? Is it formal? Your wedding invitation and suite should reflect that. You're setting a tone for the event. And that's what I like to tell people too. Don't overlook the wedding invitation. It's kind of the first thing you get that sets that tone,
Mhm.
along with the save the date too, but the wedding invitation even more so. Because wedding couples don't often match the save the date with the wedding invitation. It
Yeah,
can be totally separate. Sometimes people
yeah,
do magnets and different things, photographs on the save the date. But that's my first advice. And other than that, they know their budgets, and we're always going to work with wedding couples within their budget.
mhm,
And that's why we have these different tracks. Um, we try to be as flexible as we can with what they want and their quantities. Um, Most of the time on wedding invites, we'll let them go between price ranges and adjust it for them.
sure, yeah,
I also always advise them that don't always order a little more than you think, because it's expensive to come back and ask for more.
yeah,
So don't be worried too much about that if you're paying a little extra, because most people will discover I forgot somebody.
Yeah, I was gonna
No.
say, usually you always
Yeah,
forget somebody,
yeah,
so,
yeah. So I think that's the main advice.
okay,
Yeah.
good. Let's talk about the business side a little bit.
Okay.
And tell me what's working well for you right now as a business.
Well, and I'm just going to stay in my wedding track,
Sure.
right? Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Um, I
Actually, you
think
could
what,
you could talk about anything that's working well for you in business. I know you do more than weddings.
yeah.
This is generally weddings, but we're all still businesses. I think a lot of people do more than just weddings themselves. So, if there's something that's working well for you right now, let's talk about that.
Well, I think what works well for us is that because we are local and small, is being a niche printer.
Okay.
We've discovered the niches where we perform well, and one of them is weddings. The other one is art printing. So for creatives in Portland, and we have a lot of those,
Yes.
we print cards and prints for resale.
Yep.
Okay, journals, calendars,
Yep.
um, and it's a local artist, local printer focus. And I think for Portland, Oregon, that works really well
Yeah.
'cause it is a town that likes that vibe.
Yeah. That makes
Um,
sense.
so I think being a niche printer and really getting clear about what we do best. We also do other kinds of occasion events for either businesses or personal. We do special birthday invites. We do
Mhm.
memorial cards. I partnered with a funeral home down the street from us, and we're doing the memorial cards now. So all
Nice.
these different ways, I think, seeing where I can fit in has been beneficial to us.
Yeah. So building
Spread,
relationships with other businesses locally has really helped you kind of
it really
fine
has.
tune your niche and that sort
Yeah.
of thing, right?
I have found over the years, it's really not printed advertising that brings it to us. It's really about relationship building, getting out there and networking with people. I joined an organization called the Art of Weddings, not really an organization, a group of women that focus on weddings. Have you heard of Art of Weddings in Portland?
I haven't heard of it. No.
You should connect with them.
Check
They're
it out. I'm gonna make a
fabulous. Art
note.
of Weddings. Yeah, the Art of Weddings Portland website. They just started last year. We're doing all these venue crawls. They're organizing all the different venues around town that put on weddings or events. And I'm a member and I'm the wedding invitation vendor. So
Nice.
we have another, this will be our third. We're coming up on another venue. We call it the Portland Venue Crawl. And we're partnering with like 8 or 9 other vendors, the florist, the caterer, the event planner is the one that organizes it all. And we put on a theme-based venue crawl at different venues.
Nice.
And so we'll be doing one in February. So that's exciting. You get out there, you network with other wedding vendors, other people. Like in December, we did it at the Benson, which is a big fancy old hotel here in town. And I
Mhm.
met the event coordinator, and I'm going to reach out to her soon. She's on my to-do list to see other kind of events that they do. See,
Yeah.
so that we could do the invitation for it. We're a
Yeah.
perfect fit for that kind of thing,
Yeah.
because we have the envelopes and the expertise of 25 years of knowing how to put together invitations. Not all printers know that
Yeah.
aspect of printing.
Yeah.
It's a niche, like I've been
Yeah.
saying.
Well, it does take experience, right? I mean, you have to have experience in your thing to be really well at what you do. I mean, you have to
Yeah,
learn your craft, right? That's really
yeah.
what you have to learn your craft.
You have to learn your craft. You have to know the machinery and the changes of technology. We're a digital printer,
Mhm.
which is the latest technology, but it's changing. So, we've gone through many presses. You have to be on top of that. You have to have somebody that really knows the press well. Because the whole idea with us, especially in our niches, is we want really good color reproduction. That's number one for us, really.
Yeah.
Speed isn't as important like it is for some printers because they're just printing flyers and
Yeah.
high quantities, but we want really good color reproduction. We want our press to be able to handle a lot of different papers and weights because we
Hmm.
like to use cotton and linen, and
Yep.
because that's important for us.
Yeah.
Not
That
so
makes
much with
sense.
our business clients, but definitely weight. A lot of our business clients want heavyweight business cards,
Hmm.
so that's important in that area. So I think what I've said in being business for 25 years, um, and before that I was a corporate accountant. So I'm really glad I have that number expertise. But I think the whole vibe around really taking care of your customers, building relationships, I think that's still one of the most important things of being a business owner.
Yeah.
in this
Yeah.
technical world. And you talk to anybody that's been successful, they'll pretty much say the same thing. It's about relationship building, whether it's with your customers or your vendors or your suppliers. Um, it really is important. And I'm
Yeah.
trying to instill that with my son, who's our printer now, the importance of that if he's going
Yeah.
to take over the business.
That's awesome. That's great
Yeah.
advice. What would you say isn't working well in business right now today? Flip side of that.
Well, what isn't working well? Okay, yes, I know what this is because I'm fighting for it. It's hard for us to get capital as small businesses. It's been really hard after the recession.
Hmm.
So like for right now, I want to build onto our space. We're in a pretty small space and I can build onto the building, and trying to find somebody that will help me with that capital is a
Right.
little tricky. Um, so that's probably the biggest challenges I'm going to tell you. And I talk to a
Well,
lot of small business owners, they say the same thing.
well, it's not just finding the capital, it's finding the capital at a reasonable price to
Yes,
pay it back, right?
you're
Because
absolutely, yes.
there's lots of money out there. The problem is people want a lot in return for that money.
Exactly.
And as a small business, if you're paying 12% on $10,000, I mean, that's crazy, right?
Yeah, I'm really glad you're bringing that. That's absolutely true. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I joined the Portland Business Alliance this year, and I'm on their small business council because I want to talk about the importance of I call ours micro businesses. We're really micro businesses, and we make up 80% of the businesses in this country.
Yep.
And yet we really fight to make ends meet.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to bring that to light more and more wherever I can.
Hmm.
Um, and part of that is talking about people, because people will say, well, there's money out there. I said, yeah, but it's at 10% or more. Why
Yeah.
should I have to pay that?
Yeah.
You're like penalizing me. Why?
Yeah.
So, because I think they consider us high risk, and I kind of fight that. I don't totally agree with that. So,
I agree with you. I totally agree with you. I think that there's, from a financing perspective, it's all about them making their money, right?
yeah,
So I think they're missing the opportunity to partner with small business and provide reasonable rates for everyone so that they can actually grow their business to the next level and do the things they need to do, but do it at a reasonable rate.
right, and be
Are they going to make
competitive.
less? Yeah, they're going to make less in the short term, right? But in the long term, guess what? Next time you need money, who are you going to? You're going to them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I'm hopeful in that. I have spoken to a couple local female bankers, and they totally agree with me. They feel
Yeah.
like um, I'm going to use the word discrimination because I really feel like we're discriminated against, and especially when you ask for money and they deny you and they can't give you a good reason.
Yeah.
You're kind of suspicious. I
Sure.
think
Yeah.
we deserve to have a very good explanation. This is our ratio. You didn't make it.
Hmm.
Hard to get that feedback.
Right.
So,
Yeah. Agreed.
yeah.
If you had advice for businesses that were starting, I mean, you and I are going to retire from what we do someday, hopefully. If you had advice for the ones coming up behind us, what would be your most important advice you'd give them?
uh, do some research up front. Know your numbers. Know your market. Live lean in the beginning.
Yeah.
Even if you start to get successful, if I had to do it over, I would have lived a little leaner. Because
Hmm.
our second business in this marketplace was Take Notice, and our timing was perfect. We developed a photographic baby announcement, and then we expanded into all kinds of photographs. So we were really big across the nation. Our product was in stores under Take Notice because we had this photographic uh, invitation, holiday cards. We were one of the first putting photographs on holiday cards before all
Nice.
the big guys came in.
That's awesome.
And our product was beautiful. It wasn't template driven. It was really custom, and it was sort of high end, but the stores really received us well. And we were just like, wow. And so, you get kind of
Yeah.
inflated about that, but
Get caught up in it. Yeah.
you get caught up in it. Keep your operating expenses down. You know, don't try to expand with employees faster than you need to. So that would be the advice. Just stay kind of humble and lean in the beginning.
Got it.
And fight for who you are. Don't think you have to be something else. I mean, I'm a believer that small is beautiful. So don't think you have to, you hear the word scale up all the time, and there is some truth to that. But I think there's room for people to stay small and still be successful.
Yeah.
And hold to your values.
Yeah.
Be
That's
really
great.
clear about what your values are.
That's great. I hear that a lot actually from other vendors that
Mm,
work in the space that, be authentic, be yourself, do what you
yep.
do. And it's true, right? The only way you can succeed, I think, is by being yourself and doing what you do. People really that's why they like you, because you're unique, you do what you do. So
Right.
yeah,
Walk,
great advice.
walk your talk, be authentic. People feel it.
Yeah,
Be
for sure.
honest. I think people really know when people aren't being authentic.
Yeah, yeah,
And
agreed.
yeah.
So, all right, so now give me your best or worst, whatever you want to do, wedding story, business story, whatever you got for me.
Oh boy. Well, I have some funny stories around holiday cards.
Oh, that sounds great. Let's talk about it.
Because that's another area where people are late to get their requests out, then they want it overnight, and we're in winter in this country, and
Mhm.
things happen, right? There's
Yep.
storms. So that's probably the stories that I think about the most. The customer, and we had our product in stores, so we didn't, the store was our customer, and then
Yeah.
they were dealing with their customers, and we were in some pretty high income areas in the
Uh-huh.
country.
Yeah.
And so oftentimes we were shipping things to somebody's summer home or winter home, or, just things like that. Well, it was, I think, the week before Christmas or something like that. And we sent off the order at the time that we were committed to. Well, there was a storm, and USPS couldn't deliver it. And so it arrived late, and the store owner wanted to give them their money back, and they wanted me to go halfway. And I went, I don't think that's an area where I have to go halfway. If that's what you have to do to keep your customer, then you have to do that. There's plenty of times I have to eat it, but this
Yeah.
is not one. I can't control the weather.
Yeah.
So think, those kind of things where people feel a little bit unreasonable to me. and I lost that store over that. That
Wow.
store pulled my product.
Wow.
And the other, we were in, and I hate to use names, but we were in a lot of papyrus stores. We were in franchises and privately held, and they wouldn't pay me for 90 days.
Hmm.
And these are all custom orders. They got their money at the time the order was placed. It wasn't like an inventory item sitting on the shelf. And then
Yeah.
they wouldn't pay me. I'm not their bank.
Hmm.
I'm smart enough. And when I kept trying to nicely tell them that and say, my terms are 30 days, I think that's generous.
Yeah, that is generous.
Uh, they got mad and pulled my product.
Wow. Yeah. Well,
So that's how,
you can't please everybody and make them happy, unfortunately.
right. That's right. So
And
those are some of the things. I don't know if there's anything worse than that.
no, those are pretty bad. Thanks. All right, Deb, thanks so much for taking the time to do this, and I appreciate your time.
Yeah, I hope I've been helpful.
Very helpful. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks, Sean.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye.
Hey, thanks for checking out this episode. I hope that you found it helpful. Please share it with other people. Also, if you're getting married or you work in the wedding industry, I would love to interview and share your information with other people. Send me a text 520-399-8580 or shoot me an email at letschat@wedding.report.